What is good, everybody? Early start time, second time in a week. Last start time was like 9 a.m. This start time is 10 a.m. We are in Serbia, specifically Belgrade. Got 14 fights, a lot of new faces, 9 debuts on this card, a lot of new names, a lot of tape that honestly was hard to find for me at least. Speaking out of what I had to go through to try to find some tape on these guys, but a lot of new faces. I don't think it's the worst card ever. I think we could have come to Serbia sooner when Rakic was more like established. I know he's the feature fight. Uros Medic, he's on a run right now, so they want to capitalize on that. But some names I recognize, but mostly a lot of debutantes. Anything you guys want to add about Serbia, Belgrade?
Weird card. I like being international and moving all the different stuff, but I feel like there's probably 10 countries, 5 countries at least, that should have gotten a card before Serbia. All due respect to Serbia. I just not a lot of fighters in the UFC, and now it feels like all the fighters that are in the UFC that are Serbian pretty much just got signed for this card, like 9 debuting fighters, I want to say. Meanwhile Poland is left with nothing. Georgia had like fucking 3 champs, 2 champs, nothing. They bring it to Azerbaijan rather than Georgia, Armenia, where Armenia has a number one contender and Georgia has Ilya, fucking Marab, Giga, Dolidze, and a bunch of other guys. But, we got Fazeev in Azerbaijan, so we're going to go there. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Had an opportunity to do Poland instead of Serbia. I feel like they're, like, lacking on, like, doing other ones. But, yeah, I mean, we're in Serbia. Serbia is a cool country, and we're here for it, I guess.
All right. Is there anything you'd like to add, Mike, or are you ready to jump right into the first fight? All good? Sounds good. First fight of the night, one of our first debutantes, Marina Spasicic, probably butchered that, going up against Stephanie Luciano. From my understanding, like Spasicic, I'm assuming she just wants to like grapple. Out of her 7 pro wins, that I basically just got caught red-handed. Most of them are knockouts. I don't think she's very good. I think the people she's fighting is like 12-10. These two, I guess, are okay wins for her career, like 5-2. She seems to be a knockout artist. I thought she was more of a grappler, but the reason I thought that is because I know Luciano can strike. So I feel like in this fight, it would be wise for Spasicic to kind of grapple, but I don't know if it's going to be really effective. I'm going to go Luciano. I'm just torn between a finish or a decision. I just feel like she's more experienced. She's got better striking. Her grappling, like, I don't think it's like her best part of her game, but it's more like I've seen it more at a UFC level, so to speak. She goes to decision a lot, so I'm gonna go Luciano by decision, where she just like is ahead everywhere in the fight. She's able to stay safe in the grappling exchanges if there is any, and she'll be ahead on points in striking exchanges. She's just longer, knows how to use her reach. I trust in her more, so I'm gonna go with Luciano by decision.
Yeah, this is an interesting fight. We obviously seen more out of Stephanie Luciano in the UFC. I just watched a little bit of tape that I could find on Marina Spasic. And you remember that girl, Ivana Petrovic? Sound right? That's somebody that exists that's from that region, right? Ivana Petrovic. She reminded me of her striking. And she came in, yes, Ivana Petrovic, Croatian. She reminded me of her striking, and she kind of came into the UFC as like a bit of a prospect, and it's like, she's probably going to win against this bum she's facing on who was Luana Carolina. I'll trust her to do that, and she fails. Her grappling looked mid compared to what it looked like on the regional scene. Her striking looked abysmal compared to what it looked like against some of these bummier girls in the kind of like Serb, Croat regional scene. I'm looking at a very similar type of thing going on with Marina Spasic. She's talking about, I'm an amateur kickboxer. Then I went pro kickboxer and much more of a striker. She's going to be fighting Luciano in her wheelhouse. I just wasn't very impressed. I think Luciano's got more thud to her punches. Marina Spasic throws like, I don't even know what type of hooks. Like old Casey O'Neill hooks before she like improved, just with no defense, just hands down, chin wide up. And Luciano's got power, man. Honestly, kind of looks like a KO. It's women's MMA, though, so I'm not going to pick that. But I am going to go with Tony and pick Luciano. I just don't have a reason to trust Spasic from what I've seen. Not that I trust Luciano in a normal setting, but against a debuting girl that reminds me of another girl that's mid, I'll pick Luciano by decision, 29-28, simply because it's in Serbia.
Yeah, I'm going with Luciano as well. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I'll go 29-28 decision as well.
All right, clean sweep with our next fight of the night being Jovan Leka going up against Alexander Popik. Jovan Leka is a real heavyweight. This guy is fighting. I just feel like he's going to be the bigger guy in there. He's 6'5", 79 reach. He's still young. He's got knockout potential and he can grapple. I just think he's a better fighter here, like in every phase of the game. This is one of my more confident picks of the card. I trust this Serbian to get the job done. I think he's significantly bigger than the guy he's going against. Um, I'll go by TKO. For what it's worth, though, Popik has a lot of experience, 26 pro fights and above 500 record. He's striking base. He's got a lot of knockouts, but I think like Jovan can grapple if he needs to. Um, he does have a lot of experience, this guy, but I just think the better fighter is Leka. I think I'll go. He's lost by decision twice. He's been knocked out before. I just feel like Leka's significantly bigger. I'm gonna go torn between second and first. Let me see where most of his knockouts come from. Second round, first round, first round. I'll give a little bit of respect to Popik. I'll go second round ground and pound TKO from Jovan Leka, whether it's he drops him on the feet or he just takes him down and smashes him. I'm going to go second round ground and pound TKO Jovan Leka.
First, another battle of the no names. At least last time we had a fighter we knew. These guys, never seen him in my life. I thought Leka was the dude that lost to Denzel Freeman. He wasn't. So that immediately makes me feel like I could pick you since you didn't lose to Denzel Freeman. Looking at the tape, they both look kind of fat. But looking at the striking, Leka has a significant advantage on the feet. He's actually like a pretty clean kickboxer. I don't want to disrespect Brando Pericic, but the way he's striking kind of reminds me a little bit of Pericic. I think Pericic would beat him, and he's probably better. But Leka, I like the striking for like a big guy at heavyweight. A lot of low kicks, a lot of body kicks. I just saw him throw a fucking jumping crane kick, going to the body, going to the legs. He works all three levels. Whereas Popik's kind of just like I'm going to throw a big meaty overhand, and if it lands, it lands. And if it doesn't land, I'm going to sloppily try to shoot a takedown and take the back and get in the mount and pound you out. And he seems like he's got a thing for that on the regional scene against some of these bums. But, I don't think Leka is the same as the bums he's been fighting. Looking at Leka, I actually see like genuine athleticism, skill. I want to say he's the younger fighter too, just looking at him. Popik looks like an old dude who's getting off steroids. Yeah, Popik's 34, Leka's 24. If I'd known that, I wouldn't have even skipped. Popik's last fight was at light heavyweight too, as Tony was mentioning. Leka 6'5", 79-inch reach, just a pretty big, skillful dude for heavyweight. And I'm gonna have Serbia getting their first win here by knockout against Alexander Popik, who just kind of is here for some reason. He doesn't look to be a prospect of any kind. He's just like, oh, he's European. He's on a win streak. Throw him in. So, honestly, his record looks pretty decent. He lost to Jamal Hill in the Contender Series. This guy, Alexander Popik. This was the guy that gave Jamal Hill his entrance into the UFC. He also lost to Dusko Todorovic by sub and Rob Wilkinson by sub, which are names we know, names that are kind of buns. So, yeah, I'm going to stick with Jovan Leka being an actually good fighter. I'll say he chops off his leg in the first round and finds like an uppercut. I could even see a leg kick TKO for Leka. I'm going to say first round.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Serbian by TKO in the first. Popek is he's mid. He's just kind of mid. I'm not really going to give full breakdown on that. I'm going to keep another short and sweet. I'll go Jovan Leka by first round TKO in later half.
Clean sweep as we head to the next fight of the night in the women's bantamweight division, where we have another debutante in Nina. I'm going to butcher this one. Milosevic. I think we got that right. Going up against Haley Cowan. I just think Haley Cowan is kind of an athlete at women's bantamweight. That's what everybody says about her when they pick her or like think she's going to win a fight. Like she's got some semblance of wrestling, some semblance of striking, and she's athletic. I'll give her UFC experience. She definitely does not have the better record. She got finished by Cornell. She got finished by Alice Pereira, who had a pretty competitive fight in her debut, and then to finish, she was kind of saying something. Jamie Lynn Horth. Yeah, she gets finished a lot in these losses. She's been getting subbed a lot in these losses, too. As for her opponent, Milosevic, making her debut, she has the better record. She seems to be somewhat in her prime. She's got striking. I'm torn between a finish or a decision, but I am going to go with Nino Milosevic. I just think she has the potential to be the better fighter. I feel like with Haley Cowan, like she's kind of just an athlete. That's kind of all she's here for. I could see a finish. Haley Cowan, when she loses, she's getting finished. It's primarily by sub, from what I'm seeing. So she's been sub 3 times. She's been knocked out once. Maybe Milosevic can ground and pound TKO her, but I'll just say she gets a sub. I'll go Nino Milosevic by. I just spam second rounds, bro. Second round sub. Nino Milosevic in her debut.
Yeah, unlike the debuting Serbian girl, I think this matchup is a lot more winnable for Nina Milicevic. Fucking Haley Cowan, am I right? I know how buns she is, and that's going to be the basis of my pick here. There's not a lot to know about Nina, but I do know Haley Cowan sucks ass. I don't care how decent she looks, which honestly I think is the reason she's here. I don't care how athletic she is. I think she's ass. And there was moments like on the Contender Series, like, she's athletic. She can probably strike with some of the women in the division. But, not to say like Nina Milicevic is like a groundbreaking prospect or anything. It's fucking 4-0 opponent, 1-0 opponent, 4-1 opponent, 2-6 opponent, 0-0, 1-1, 2-2, 0-1, and 2-0. Like nobody on this fucking record has more than fucking 5 fights or 5 wins. The most they have in general is 8, and that person's 2-6. So not has fought good competition by any means, but does seem a little bit well-rounded, seems motivated to, as she says, put Serbia on the map in MMA. I don't think you're going to be the one to do it, Shorty, but, shout out to you for trying. But, got some grappling, got some striking. There's not a whole lot to say. Seems motivated, wants to win. Haley Cowan might just be trying to get her next out so she can be like a, hub star or OnlyFans model. Who knows? America versus Serbia. This bitch, if the UFC doesn't work out for Nina Milicevic, she's got to pick potatoes. Like it ain't so clean and cut and dry. I can sell my body. No. Back to the potato farm if you don't fucking get this done. So I think Nina Milicevic is fighting for a little extra, wants to put Serbia on the map. Doesn't want to farm potatoes. Meanwhile, Haley Cowan, if she loses, she can just post pics of her body online and, live like a doctor because America. So, yeah, I want to go Nina Milicevic. Just probably wants it more. I'll say decision. This is a buns fight. This should have been the prelim, like the opener.
Sorry, I just fell asleep on this shit fight. I'm going to go with Nina Milosevic by decision. I'll just keep it short and sweet there. Haley Cowan is buns. Send her ass back.
Yet another clean sweep as we head to the lightweight division where we have Mateusz Rebecki going up against Kyle Prepolek. This is an interesting one. I picked Kyle Prepolek in his last fight against Drew Dober, and I felt like he was on his way to winning that fight before Drew Dober kicked him in the dick in the 3rd round and needed to cheat to win that fight, frankly. He needed to do that because he was on his way to losing a decision in Canada. Prepolek, prior to that fight, had never been knocked out before. So now he's been knocked out. I question his durability a little bit. That being said, he's going against Rebecki, who in his last couple of fights, he's getting hit, bro. Chris Duncan, a war. Mick Bekorobai, that was a while ago, but that was a war. The Ludovic Klein fight, he took so much damage in that fight. Grant Dawson was able to have somewhat success on the feet. Like, Rebecki's not bad, but he's hittable, and he makes questionable decisions at times. Obviously, from the Grant Dawson fight, why are you actively grappling when you should be striking? It was almost egotistical, or I don't even know how to explain it. It was just very bad fight IQ. Nonetheless, also the Diego Ferreira TKO. Like, Rebecki's been hit like in his last 6 some fights, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, like his last 5 fights, he's taken damage. He's 1-4, and he won by split. So he's winning these fights by the slimmest of margins. Granted, the competition is legit. Grant Dawson's in the top 15. Ludovic Klein, who's fighting on this card, is a good fighter. Chris Duncan had an opportunity to break through in like the top 10, but was like ranked at one point. Diego Fajea, like he's a vet. Like these are tougher guys. I'm reluctantly going to go Mateusz Rebecki. That being said, if he's not effectively leg kicking, I highly recommend he tries to grapple. BSD was able to have success in the grappling against Prepolek, as we know. He subbed him. I feel like if Rebecki just strikes in this fight with Kyle Prepolek, he is giving himself an opportunity to lose boxing exchanges, because I think that's Kyle Prepolek's best thing. I think his boxing and his chin are like his best strengths. I think Rebecki's a better kicker. I think he's a better overall grappler. So I would expect him to use that. He needs a win bad. Like I said, he's 1-4 in his last 5. He has a lot of knockouts, but he has just as many subs. I'm going to go Mateusz Rebecki by submission in round, I'm thinking between 2 or 3, because Prepolek's cardio is not that bad. BSD was able to get the sub like fairly early. I want to say it was like the first round. Or no, it might have been the second round. He got that. BSD got it in the second round. I'll go third round. Drew Dober was able to get a third round TKO on Prepolek. I think Prepolek gives himself a decent showing, but I'll go third round submission Mateusz Rebecki, just because I think there's a gap in the grappling, and I expect him to come with a better game plan than he did in the Grant Dawson fight. But like I said, his fight IQ at times is questionable, to say the least. So I'll go Rebecki third round sub.
Yeah, I feel like, this fight is probably closer than you'd originally think. When this fight got booked, I was thinking Rebecki's one of the better, guys outside of the ranked lightweight division, and Prepolek hasn't won a fight in the UFC, but it's honestly a lot closer than that. As Tony said, Rebecki's 1-4 in his last 5. Surprisingly, his only win is Miktabik Oralbai. That Grant Dawson fight, I think, dropped his stock off a cliff, and rightfully so. The IQ is terrible. How can you not sleep fucking Grant Dawson? Why are you giving Grant Dawson a chance by grappling, which is the literally only thing he can even do in the sport? Who knows? And he gets fucking finished by him too. Kyle Prepolek looked pretty decent in his fight against Benoit, all things considered. He landed some big shots on Benoit, did well on the feet before he wound up losing the fight, was winning the Dober fight before he got hit in the dick. I do think this fight is close, but I do think Rebecki is probably going to make the comeback here. He's been facing good comp, and to be fair to Prepolek, he's faced decent comp in his comeback too. But I looked at his record and said 0-4 in the UFC, and I'm thinking he only fought twice in the UFC. He was in the UFC and he lost to Austin Hubbard, which is fucking terrible. If that ever happens, I'm just immediately like, yeah, okay, your ass. And he lost to Nordine Taleb, who's another guy who's like here today, gone tomorrow. I'm going to have to go Rebecki here. I think he's got more ways to win. I think he's the better striker out of these. I would give Prepolek the edge in the boxing, but I think Rebecki's kicking game is pretty good. And there's been times where his boxing looks good too. There's been times I feel like Rebecki's gashed, but I do think the wrestling as well will help him in this fight. I kind of just still feel like Prepolek doesn't really deserve to be here. He kind of came in on short notice against BSD, hit him a couple times, and then got finished. And then they're like, okay, we'll give you another fight. And then he had a pretty decent performance against Dober, who's honestly pretty hittable in his old age and isn't very good. And it's always been about durability and power with Dober. He's always been somebody who's there to be hit. Rebecki, I think, has got a little bit better head movement. He's a little bit more elusive in the pocket. He's willing to move back, fight at a longer range with his low kicks, despite him being the smaller fighter. He can fight better in the close range, I feel like, with him being head down and kind of just having that Mike Tyson-ish style where he's like bobbing and weaving and throwing hooks over the top. Whereas I feel like Prepolek's got to keep this in kind of like a mid-range boxing fight. Uses jab, uses straight punches. Whereas Rebecki can fight a little bit longer and closer, like in the clinch almost, as well as mixing in the wrestling. So I just think Rebecki's got more to work with here. Whereas Prepolek's just kind of been asking to lose, I feel like. He just keeps getting put in there against guys who are honestly not great stylistic matchups. You'll never see Kyle Prepolek take on like Clay Guida or anything. It's always Rebecki or Benoit or Dober, somebody where he could legitimately get slimed. This is a guy I feel like the UFC is trying to get rid of, to be honest. I'm going to say Rebecki TKO in the second or third. leg kicks lead to just punches landing easier, and then he gets him done on the ground or on the feet. I think it'll be a finish.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Rebecca. If he doesn't win this, not picking him again. He let everybody down in that Grant Dawson fight. I mean, don't get me wrong. I feel bad for Grant Dawson after what happened with him and that whole miscarriage shit, but like, Rebecca, you're fucking stupid, bro. Like, I don't know. You had this dude like concussed and shit. And for a guy like Kyle Prekbalik, I shouldn't be this fucking nervous. I shouldn't be this fucking nervous on picking you. I really shouldn't. But I'm going with Rebecca. I'll go with a second, maybe a late first round TKO by Rebecca. But he needs to show me something in this fight, or I'm probably not gonna pick him again. This is like the last straw between Rebecca and me in prediction confidence. Fight IQ is out of it's here or there, or he's like, but like on a good day he's good. Like he's done pretty good work in fights, but yeah, I need to see something here. I've yapped far too long. My bad.
All good. Clean sweep streak keeps on rolling as we head to the featherweight division. Make sure the screen's got it. Yes, it does. We have Bogdan Grad representing Austria going up against Dennis Bazooka. I'm going to go Bogdan Grad here. I think him being near minus 200 favorite is saying something. My concern with Bogdan Grad is durability, but let's keep this in mind. He's only been knocked out 2 times, and it's against undefeated Luke Riley, who is very good, at least in the striking realm specifically, and Tom Nolan, who is a lightweight, who's ranked in the top 15. That's a guy with a significant size advantage in Tom Nolan in that fight, and that's a guy in Luke Riley who's just a good striker at 145. Dennis Bazooka, I don't really feel is that. I think Bogdan Grad on paper has the grappling upside as well. So my only concern was durability, but in hindsight, the 2 people that knocked him out, I think those are valid reasons how it happened. And for what it's worth, Bogdan Grad actually had a decent first round against Luke Riley in terms of his game plan. Like he was able to be annoying, use his style to be a nuisance for Luke, give him a minute to adjust to the takedown, the rhythms of his shots and things like that. And then Luke Riley was able to make those adjustments in round 2. I don't think Dennis Bazooka is on the tier of a Luke Riley or a Tom Nolan to make those adjustments where they can finish Bogdan Grad in those instances. I think Dennis Bazooka, frankly, is just a guy who swings hard, which is what you want in a fight for sure. He'll go forward. He'll take chances. But I just think, I think Bogdan Grad is the potential to be the better fighter in this matchup. I think he can get takedowns when he needs to. I think he can be relatively competitive on the feet. The other fight he lost in the UFC was against Muhammad Naimov, who I think is better than Dennis Bazooka, and he trains at a good gym in Team Elevation, and he's got good sparring partners. He's not small. Bazooka is not a small featherweight either. I think he's like near 5'10". He's like 5'9", 70 reach. They're like similar size. He did go to a split decision with Marshall. I rate that, but I think Bogdan Grad can have a very similar game plan to what Francis Marshall does in the striking, in the takedowns. I'm going to go Bogdan Grad by decision. All of Bazooka's losses are TKOs and decisions. So I'm going to go Bogdan Grad by decision. I think he gets takedowns if he needs to. I think he can compete on the feet. Barring him getting hit with a big shot, I feel like he's the better fighter. I'll go Bogdan Grad by unanimous decision.
Yeah, 2 of the featherweights that are kind of just like, all right, if you lose here, we're done with you. I feel like Bazooka's been around for a couple years now, and he's been ass every step of the way, getting slept by a fucking Jamal Emmers in the first round, Marcio Barbosa victim, Francis Marshall victim, Sean Woodson victim. You fucking got abducted by that alien. The only win he has is Connor Matthews, and he's ass. And I want to say he's even out of the UFC now. Bazooka, it's time. It's time. It's time to go. Bogdan Grad's carrying more like Slav aura than ever. He's got like the mustache and the blonde hair. He's just showing up looking like Slavic as fuck. And I find it funny, like he immediately pulls the huzz as soon as he decides to not be a fucking cue ball. So shout out it for him for getting hair, I guess. Uh, but Bogdangrad, I think, on the feet is a much more dangerous fighter. He's got a little bit more like karate style elements to his game where he can throw spinning back kicks and kicks to the head and body, whereas Bazooka is just mid at everything he does. He's like a mid wrestler, a mid striker. Like, send him to New England Cartel, Loki. Like, even though he trains with Aljo, like, he's like a New England Cartel ass fighter. Like, just mid. Like, mid boxing, mid striking, mid wrestling, mid shin. Like, I don't have anything to tell you about Dennis Bazooka. I want to say he's like Armenian, so I guess it makes sense for him to be on like a European-ish card. But I got to go with Bogdangrad here. I think his wrestling is probably better as well. He was able to hold down Luke Riley. Nobody's really been able to do that, and people have tried. Kai Kamaka tried; he couldn't do it, and he was beating a lot of guys in the regional scene. Whereas Bogdangrad was able to utilize his wrestling in that fight. Decent striking against somebody else that wasn't Luke Riley. I think his striking would look a lot better, but this goes to show how good of a striker Luke Riley is. I think Bogdangrad bounces back in a big way. And I want to say he's Austrian and Serb, like kind of like how Rakic used to represent Austria and Serbia. He's Romanian, never mind. But still, like kind of that area. So I'm going to go Bogdangrad. I'm thinking masterclass. I don't think there will be a finish. I think he'll be able to do kind of whatever on the feet. Just kind of worried because he has a bad chin himself, so that'll make it a bit of a slower fight or him being like more patient and cautious. But I think Bogdangrad like 30-27, maybe 29-28 if Dennis Bazooka hurts him with a shot one round. But I think it'll be a pretty dominant decision in favor of Bogdangrad getting it done. Unanimous.
Yeah, I got Bogdangrad too. I'm not gonna go decision. I'll probably go with a finish. I think Bro's just feeling his. I think ever since Bro went to Turkey, Bro has some fucking, like Alex has said, he has like some type of unlimited aura. Like Bro's got a fucking full on faux hawk now. Bro went from looking like Andrew Tate to fucking, I don't know, Luka. Like he went from looking like Andrew Tate to Luka Doncic out of nowhere. Like I think he's gonna sauce him up. I think I'm gonna go with a Bogdangrad second round KO here. I could see a decision like Alex said, but I think he can finish him too though. I think him leaving Turkey, he's gotten some aura. Not only new hair, but he also has some aura.
Clean sweep as we move on to the next fight in the bantamweight division, where we have Mark Vologden going up against debuting Borislav Nikolic. Not too familiar with Borislav. From what it seems, he has a championship belt, and that looks like a Brave belt. Is that right? Yeah, he fought Brave. Okay, so I do rate that automatically. Okay, that's good. He's, I think, Serbian, good record, a champion at Brave FC. I rate that. I'm probably going to go with him. I do know Mark Vologden more. I'm more familiar with him. I've seen the Contender Series fight against the Ecuadorian Martinetti. I saw his fight against, most recently, against Castaneda. He's small for bantamweight, and that's saying something. He's like 5'3", I want to say. It's tough because like he has to get on the inside, but in the process of that, he finds himself getting clipped a lot. Castaneda had a really scary third round against him. He was just teeing off on him. I will give Mark credit. He is tough as nails for being as small as he is. He has a lot of heart. Like he takes a lot of shots and he keeps it going. Never been knocked out in 18 pro fights. He's very young. I do think the longer the fight goes, maybe it could help Mark because he seems to have a good gas tank and we know he's willing to bite down on his mouthpiece, obviously from his Contender Series fight and most recently. Yeah, those are the only two fights I've seen with him. I just think this Borislav Nikolic has more potential. Can't rate being a champion of Brave FC enough, but never been finished. He's been sub one time. I've never been finished by knockout. I misphrased my word. He's been sub one time, but I just think Mark Vologden, that's not his game. He can wrestle, but he does have subs on his record, but I don't think that's his game. I'm going to go with Borislav Nikolic by, man, this is tough. Because Vologden's never been KO'd. Neither is this guy. They've both been sub before. Just off of size, I would give the advantage to the Serbian because in grappling exchanges, I do think size, it could be a deciding factor for sure. So I'm torn between submission and decision. but he's 8-1 to the sub. So I'll go out on a limb. I'm gonna go with Borislav Nikolic by second round submission in his UFC debut. I think he's going to push a pace that's going to match Vologden early. He's going to clip him. I think it's going to be a club and sub where it looks like he's on the verge of just like TKOing him, but instead he just jumps and I'm going to go arm triangle. It's going to look like the Makachev, like Oliveira sub. It's going to be like he just drops him and then jumps straight into an arm triangle.
Now, watching tape for this, Serbian card, wasn't expecting too much. This motherfucker, Borislav Nikolic, has fucking aura. He is 33, which I'm seeing now, which I don't like. But he has aura. Like, there's been multiple times in the regional scene where he, like, fucking knocks somebody out and just, like, stands over him and looks down like the Grim Reaper. He had, like, a John Jones-esque guillotine where he put somebody up against the fence and fucking slapped them, and they, like, folded back like a lawn chair. He has aura. Like, he was beating a dude unconscious, like in ground and pound, and just like decided to stop by himself. Then he goes up and pushes the ref. He's like, "What are you doing? Do your job." And there's another time he slapped a dude, and the dude was stiff, like stiff as a board. And like, how like when you're stiff, like their arms are like up and like stiff in the air. This guy's arm was like stiff in the air, and he walks up and he gives him a handshake while he's asleep, like stiff as a board on the ground. And his like arm is seizing in the air. He's like, "Yes, good fight, good fight." I thought he was trying to give him a handshake. This dude's got aura. And, I think there's a problem with his defense. I think he's going to be able to get hit on the chin. I don't like that he's a little bit older, but with that comes experience. He's 16-2, which is a pretty damn good record. Champion in his promotion. He kind of fights like a spastic. And you want to know who else fights like a spastic? Fucking Javier Reyes, or whoever he fought in the Contender Series. I want to say that was Javier Reyes. That sounds good. Or it was the Martinetti.
No, Martinetti.
Okay. He fought like a fucking spastic too. And I honestly think Nikolic, despite fighting like a spastic, I like his punches and kicks and his timing a lot better than Martinetti's. I think Martinetti kind of has to, like Oliveira Max, get hurt before he can come back. And I feel like that's just mostly because he's tough enough for the other guy to fumble a finish. Where I feel like Borislav Nikolic is actually really good in that pocket and that pressure pushing environment. And I'm kind of excited to see what he has to do tomorrow or in 2 days or whatever. I mean, Vologden, Adrian Luna Martinetti, that hasn't aged well. I want to say he got slept in his debut and having a draw against Castaneda. Castaneda's okay, but like, if you're going to beat something, you do beat him. I'm going to be honest. Like, Castaneda's okay, but you beat him. And yeah, Adrian Luna Martinetti got schooled by like the worst version of Davy Grant. So I'm going to go Borislav Nikolic here. He's got fucking aura. Mark Vologden is just kind of a little midget of a thing. 5'3" for bantamweight. Borislav Nikolic is big, feels big. I don't like that his like body kind of reminds me of like Shamrock. That makes me feel like he might get fucking like, oh, you're doing good on the regionals. You come to the UFC and you can't do anything. But I'm gonna go Borislav Nikolic. Fucking Serbian Shamrock. KO.
I'm going with Borislav Nikolic as well by KO. I'll keep it short and sweet here. I did not like the Javier Reyes fight that Vologden had. Well, what fight he had in his last fight? It was just dog shit. So that's
Castaneda.
Yeah, Castaneda. Yeah, he looked like shit. Mark Vologden did. I thought there was an argument he could have lost, but it is what it is. I'll go with Borislav Nikolic by KO first or second.
Clean sweep streak keeps on rolling as we head to the next fight of the night in the welterweight division, where we have, is this the debut of Michael Oliveira, PQD? This is the UFC debut of Michael PQD Oliveira. This guy is a problem, I tell you. 6'1", 78.5-inch reach, a build reminiscent of Michael Morales. Dangerous is an understatement. 9 pro wins, 8 wins by knockout. The finishing rate speaks for itself. He's a crazy athlete. He's got crazy reach, and he's a very smart striker. He knows how to utilize what he's got. And he's very dangerous as he's going up against Oban Elliott, the Welsh gangster, 12-4. I like Oban, but man, this is like 3 straight rough bookings in a row. Ever since his debut against Val Woodburn, then he beat Preston Parsons, like meh. Then he beat Basil Hafez, meh. And then his last, this is gonna be his third straight. This is gonna be his third straight tough matchup. They gave him Siak Youngko, who was a big underdog and was able to just outclass Oban everywhere in MMA. And then he gave him Jonathan Mikulev, and I actually picked Oban in that fight, and he was doing exactly what I predicted him to do to win. He was utilizing his striking, he was using his footwork, but eventually Mikulev was able to push the pace and end up getting a sub in the second round. Now they're giving him this prolific knockout artist. I think the UFC does not like Welsh fighters. Jack Shore's matchmaking wasn't great. Oban's matchmaking isn't great. I don't know what it is, but they don't like Wales. I'm going to go Michael Oliveira by TKO in round. I'll go round 2. I'm just a round 2 spammer, man. I'll give a round of respect to Oban because I think he's not a bad fighter. It's just the bookings they give him are crazy. And I just think Oliveira is clearly the better fighter with more potential, at least. Oban has to fight a perfect fight to win this one. And even then, like, he could get caught in, like, the last, like, 2 minutes of the fight. I'm going to go second round TKO, PQD, Michael Oliveira, successful UFC debut.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree. I'm kind of just over Oban at this point. All that talk about him being a prospect, I feel like, was undeserved at the time. Like, you beat Basil Hafez, dude. Like, who fucking cares, really? Michael Oliveira is moving like Vaughn on the Contender Series and in the regional scene. And the guy he fucked up, Valenzuela, I want to say is in the UFC too. I want to say like they re-signed him and he's the guy that beat Max Griffin. So like he's still like a winning UFC fighter, the guy he beat in the Contender Series. Michael Oliveira is like a tall guy, long guy, explosive, powerful, good striker, great finishing instinct. Like this is a guy I feel like who could really be something at welterweight. I hope he stays active. He is 28. I want to see him, he like Victor Valenzuela, that guy was 12-3. That was by far the best opponent he's fought in his career. It was kind of 11-7, 7-3, 4-1, 2-1, 3-2 opponents before then. But now he's facing Oban Elliott, who's another like similarly leveled opponent, probably better than Valenzuela, 12-4. And if he beats him, that'll look good. Recently, Oban struggled with grapplers. So this will be a fight where he can kind of be the grappler against a big striker. So I'm interested in that. Maybe Oban being the more veteran-ish fighter, I guess, more likely to grapple. He could get it done. It's an interesting fight, though, because this is kind of his last chance fighting a very explosive, dangerous prospect like Michael Oliveira. And, Valenzuela kind of just fought him like a brick-headed, fighter. Like he just kind of went in there and was like, yeah, I'm going to try to box with this guy in the pocket and leave my head down and open. And, it didn't end well. Oban, I feel like, is a little bit more elusive than all that. He'll change levels. But I don't think he's as good as what we once believed. But Michael Oliveira ain't going to do what Suck Young Ko did. He ain't going to do what the fucking stretchy man did. Fucking
Mikulev.
Yeah, you know who I was talking about. Yeah, super long-ass stretchy arms. And, Michael Oliveira's got that similar reach. I want to say Mikulev might have dropped him, Oban. I don't remember. But I do think Michael Oliveira will. I think Oban will stupidly try to box with him, and that'll go very badly. Oban, I just doesn't strike me as the type of dude who will offensively wrestle to, like, get a victory. He might, like, mix it in, but I don't think he'll do it a lot, and I don't feel like it would be dominant if he did it. Michael Oliveira is just a big, strong, athletic dude. I feel like he can defend some of the takedowns and keep it on the feet. Sucks to say, but I think Oban gets slept here. I'm going to go Michael Oliveira, second round KO up against the fence. He's got great finishing instinct. He knows when somebody's like hurt and he can pick his shots well to get a finish there. Oban is a lot better than those guys, though, to be fair. But I think Michael can still do it at a higher level. So I'll go Michael Oliveira, second round KO. Brutal. Up against the fence.
Yeah, I'm kind of I wasn't really thinking Oban was really gonna be anything special. I think he went to like a close competitive fight with what's his fucking name? The dude that got slimed out by Bo Nickel. What's his fucking name?
Val Woodburn.
Val Woodburn, yeah. Like he beat Val Woodburn's ass, I get that, but like I think there was like a little bit of moments where Val Woodburn was landing well on Oban. I did not like that. And then, yeah, he had a little hype and shit, but I wasn't entirely impressed of what I saw. So I'm gonna go with. I mean, plus he's also getting found out in his game. Like his game's kind of getting exposed a little. I'll go. I'll go Michael Oliveira, second round KO, maybe a late first. Who knows? I'm just kind of done with Oban. To be honest.
And the clean sweep streak keeps on rolling as we head to the prelim headliner in the lightweight division, where we have, is this correct? Slovakia's Ludovic Klein? Yes. Slavic Republic. I think I'm calling it Slovakia. We got Ludovic Klein going up against Azerbaijan's Tafik Musayev. So I think Ludovic Klein is good, but I am concerned with the ankle or leg injury he sustained in the Mateusz Rebecki fight. That does hinder my confidence in him here. And prior to that, I picked him to beat Gamrot. So obviously, this is a guy who I rate. Like, he's a good fighter. Prior to the Gamrot fight, he had like takedown defense north of 90%. He did get out grappled, but that's Gamrot. He's a good fighter at 155. Tafik Musayev, as for him, you know, he won his last fight against Ignacio Bahamondes. He did cheat a lot in that fight, but he was able to get away with it. So props to him for playing to his venue, I guess. He lost to Miktabek Oralbai, but that was Miktabek's last fight at 155 as of late. He's moved to 170 ever since that fight, and he was able to just go through him. Ludovic, I think, has good takedown defense. I think he has good striking. His gas tank has always been a concern of mine, but now with the ankle injury, like, this makes this a more closer fight, in my opinion. Musayev does have power. Like, this guy has 18 knockouts out of 23 wins. So his grappling isn't his strength, though. He's been sub 4 times, so I feel like you can get on top of him at the very least. Like, his takedown defense isn't great. I wouldn't be surprised if Ludovic mixes in wrestling in this fight. He's 3-1 to the decision, Musayev is, but I'm torn between a sub and a decision here for Ludovic Klein. He's got 8 subs, 7 decisions. I feel like he's going to mix in the grappling in this fight. I think Musayev's going to want to keep this on the feet, but Ludovic's going to make it a mission to, like, take advantage of his weakness. He's only losing to Gamrot. He had a draw with Jai Herbert, I think, is a good technical striker. He did get subbed by Nate Landwehr, but I think that was more of a cardio thing. Did lose a decision to Trezano that is not aging well, obviously, but he's improved since then. He's gone on more wins than losses since that period of time. He beat Mateusz Rebecki, who I'm picking on this card. I'm just torn between sub and decision. It seems like pretty close on both. I'm going to go sub. I'm going to go Ludovic Klein by Oralbai got it in the first round, so I'll go second round sub Ludovic Klein. I think he's going to make it a mission to try to take down Musayev and make an uncomfortable fight for him.
Yeah. What was the fight? Ludovic Klein, Tafik Musayev. Oh, by the way, have you guys read the chat?
No, I did not see the chat.
I have to go soon after these predictions.
I got you.
Yeah, but Ludovic Klein, Tafik Musayev, this is interesting. Both guys beat Ignacio Bahamondes. Tafik Musayev, I feel like, has overachieved a little bit just based on that Bahamondes win that he had to cheat to win for, to be honest. But after he got smoked by Miktabek Oralbai, I'm like, all right, he's probably fucked. Like, he's not going to go into the UFC and beat like a top guy like Bahamondes, who's like fringe ranked and somebody who I thought could go pretty far. Now he's a welterweight. But I'm going to be honest, Ludovic Klein beat Bahamondes without the cheating. He beat him on the feet in his wheelhouse. He didn't wrestle. He didn't cheat to do it. Ludovic Klein, I think, is a much better defensive wrestler than Bahamondes as well. I don't think Tafik Musayev can get to the legs on a shorter, stockier Ludovic Klein who's had a long time to prepare. Him coming off an injury does worry me a little bit, but I think Tafik Musayev is fucking 36. Like, I think Bahamondes is just kind of a fraud at this point, which hurts to say. He's like skinny. He's like frail. I don't think Ludovic's frail. Obviously, got to worry about the leg. Maybe the leg is still frail, but I think Tafik Musayev just being older, just being, I think, worse on the feet. He's going to have to wrestle Ludovic here. I think Ludovic will pick him apart on the feet, and I think Ludovic can mitigate the grappling exchanges to keep this fight on the feet as long as he can. Tafik Musayev has been finished by a body shot by Alexander Shabali in Bellator. Teep kick. I feel like on paper Ludovic could do the same thing. He's got great kicks. Ludovic's one of the nastiest strikers in lightweight. I've always said that, and I'm going to keep saying it. He just shuts down a little bit when wrestlers fight him, but he can keep it very precise and tactical at range and really predict the takedown so it doesn't affect him depending on the fight. I do think he's a guy that you want to give him a live event so he can really make use of that full cage. I think he does worse in the Apex than he does in like a live event just because the arena, the octagon is bigger. He's got more ways to move around, and I feel like that naturally discourages grapplers because they have to get in closer in a larger environment. I like Ludovic here. I think Tafik Musayev still has to show me that he can win a fight in the UFC without cheating. This is a guy who is going to be harder to get to the wheelhouse than Bahamondes, and I think, talk about cheating. This is pretty much like a hometown thing for Ludovic. So if the rig is in one way, it's going to be for Ludovic. So he really can't out-cheat a guy who's got the judges on his side, if you know what I mean. Not to say that he does, but if anybody does, I'd assume it's Ludovic. 31-36. I think there's a lot in the tank for Ludovic still. I think he could still make a run into the rankings. He's just got to fucking not lose to Gamrot ever again. That made me, that is a bad one. And that is like why I'm kind of hesitating. But Tafik Musayev, I don't think is as good of a grappler as Gamrot. And I also feel like he's the type of dude to get discouraged after a couple missed shots. And it's like, I don't want to gas out. I'm going to just strike their whole rest of the time. Whereas Gamrot wouldn't be worried about his cardio. He'd just be like, I'm going to keep shooting until I get it. Whereas I think Musayev will be. And I think that'll be the difference. Give me Ludovic Klein. Give me him by fucking TKO. I think he's going to do a good job of sprawling the takedowns, work the body, work the legs. And then he's going to back him up and hit him with like a lead head kick. Knock him out. Tafik Musayev gets fucking slept. Ludovic Klein's back, baby. Let's go. Third round TKO.
Yeah, I'm going to keep fading this little fucking inbred gremlin until day's end. I don't like Tafik Musayev. I think he's a cheat. Scumbag, horrible for the fucking sport. Destroyed our beloved Bahamondes. So I'm going to go with Ludovic Klein. I'm not really a big fan of Tafik. I know he could probably hold Ludovic down. I'll give him more. I'll give him some props for that. He can hold somebody down and I guess out grapple him. But I'm going with Klein here. I think he's gonna get it done. I'll go 29-28 decision. He wins off damage.